welcome to Tech Ascent, the podcast where we dive into the trends, strategies, and success stories that are reshaping the tech landscape as we know it today. I'm your host, Oliver Klingane. I'm also the founder of Ascension, the premier business development partner within tech. And today, I'm joined by Maggie Rose Macar, the founder and CEO of an innovative platform known as Zant. Maggie, would you mind introducing yourself, telling the audience a little bit about what you do and what the mission is behind Zant?
Yeah, for sure. First, Oliver, thank you so much for having me on. I'm super excited to be here today. So there's a lot to Zant, but basically, in short, we work with entrepreneurs. We also work with grad students. We help get them matched up with life, leadership, executive, business coaches, and consultants. But on the other side, our foundation really started by helping to grow those coaches, giving them a platform to manage, grow, operate their practice in one place, and then acquire additional clients through those entrepreneurs that we match them with.
That's awesome, and it's a super unique value proposition as well. What kind of made you want to get into this space?
Yeah, so the story of Zant is definitely one that's evolved a lot. It kind of started with a sad story a few years ago. I originally had gone to school, wanted to be a lawyer, so never intended to be an entrepreneur, never intended to be here, was following that path. And people at that time would have described me as, very ambitious, constantly working. So that part of me has never changed. But throughout that journey, I was a young person at the time. I graduated early from high school. I was early in my kind of career, in my life. 18 years old, I was financially independent. I was working full time. So I had a lot of different stressors in my life as a young person that other people my age didn't. And then when I finally was kind of like on that path and growing within my journey at school and at college and working, I ended up losing a very close friend of mine, and it was to suicide. And when that happened, not only was it so shocking, but it was just something that I don't think anybody's ever prepared for. And so throughout that journey, for me as this young person who was grieving, I saw this friend 3 days before. He was somebody who is historically known as being a very happy person. That shifted things for me. I had struggled with so much grief and depression. And so very long story short, because that journey, was a long one for me. But long story short, I ended up finding a therapist who actually was willing to work with me at $10 a session. And that in itself took forever to get to. But being able to work with somebody and really go through that healing process, my pain turned into passion. And I went back to school, went to a different school, ended up studying psychology and did a minor in business and thought I want to be a therapist. And then, of course, that changed because along that journey, I was so passionate about helping people. I didn't want somebody to feel like my friend. I didn't want somebody to feel like I felt when I was trying to get help, trying to get support. It was so hard. And so worked in crisis intervention, worked with different nonprofits. COVID hit a couple years later, and it was just super evident that there was this need for something that was just simple and to the point and could just bridge the gap between altruistic professionals like the one who helped me and then those in need. And so that's actually how Zant was born. It was through this journey of struggle and loss and grief, and then having somebody give me this opportunity that felt like there had to be more people who could do that. And so Zant launched. We were a mobile app. We were connecting college students with therapists who are willing to work as little as $25 a session for those students. Simple app, had instant payments, had direct messaging so you didn't have to give out personal information, had in-app video, had scheduling. It was just everything in one place, but it was so simple. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't super spectacular. It just did the job. And then after connecting and growing through that journey in itself, we started to evolve and find our product market fit and found that our platform was actually an all-in-one tool for coaches, and that coaches were the professionals who were gravitating towards our tool and using our tool. They were onboarding their clients outside of the app to manage everything in one place because it was that simple. And at the same time, while they were working with their practice, they were getting other clients, right? And so we started growing the marketplace, eventually closed the marketplace, tried out different demographics, found that entrepreneurs were our sweet spot. We could really help them get matched with some really incredible coaches along that journey, that up and down journey of entrepreneurship. And for our coaches, we could help them manage their practice in one place, but also help them grow with those entrepreneurs. So I know that's a pretty crazy, windy road that I just shared with you, but that's really where we started. And it's hard when somebody asks me that question to give them the short and sweet, because there really is so many layers to it, but wouldn't change where we're at for the world. I mean, it's the greatest opportunity that I have to be the founder and CEO of Zant and be where we are today.
No, that's an amazing story, Maggie. And it sounds
Thank you.
like from your story, from your multiple other experiences we've heard from entrepreneurs, there's always kind of that adversity somebody has to face along the path to kind of give them that fuel to get to where you are now. You've started to build a successful company, it's off the ground. You've got a team of 10 you shared before this call. Would you mind giving some insights for the entrepreneurs you help that are just getting started? What's the process of building a team like? What are the challenges, the struggles, and kind of how have you overcome those as well?
Okay, so this is a great question. And it's a question that more entrepreneurs need to ask. I made so many mistakes along the way, and not mistakes in the like this dreary, like depressing way, but just, this, you take a couple missteps, you listen to the wrong people, and you also watch a lot of movies, right? As an entrepreneur, and you start to resonate with people in certain movies, and you think that, there's certain ways that you have to build a team. So many entrepreneurs start off in that journey. And I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, by the way. I coach a lot of entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. I mentor a lot of entrepreneurs now. And I constantly hear the same thing. I can't afford to give somebody $100,000 a year. I can't hire. How am I going to hire when I have no money to hire? I'm going to go raise money, and 50% of my budget's going to go towards hiring. Scratch all that. Because if you came to me and said, Maggie, I'm starting a business, I need a team of 30, and I know who those people are, I know what their role is going to be, I know how I can delegate tasks, then I'm going to tell you to go a couple ways. We actually started growing our company at the height of doing what I'm about to tell you we did. We actually had 40 people working with us at one point. And managing larger teams is something that, at least for me, I knew I had to build a system. And everything comes down to those systems, right? So I had to build a system, but once I had the system, it was actually easier to manage larger teams than to manage smaller teams. And that was just my experience. So we had no money when we first started. We had no resources. We really didn't have a network of people. We were growing that network. How are we going to hire people? We knew we needed people. So we actually ended up going out to different colleges and universities. Now it's much easier than it was then. Going out to colleges and universities, specifically graduate programs, and saying, hey, we want to work with students. We want to give internships. We want to give co-ops. We want to work with students, and we'll give them college credit, and we'll help them along that journey. So we actually grew our team originally with interns. We had as many as 40 interns working with us, giving all of them such incredible experiences. We would have competitions too throughout the year. Whoever was a top performing intern in their department would be able to have an all expense paid trip out to a big conference every year. And it allowed them to get even more exposure and meet more people and learn to network. So, we found ways to make it very systematic. We found ways to really grow. And then once we had the money and we were ready to start hiring, we knew who we could go to because we had been working with so many interns. Many of these interns were with us for a minimum of 4 months. Co-ops were as long as 8 months. So some of these interns we got to know really well. We saw their work ethic. We saw how they performed. We saw their passion. We would regularly talk to them. And once we felt we had the budget to hire, we would hire within. So for many of these students, we were either a first job or maybe a first kind of like big person job, in their career, and continued to grow our team from there. And that's how we built our founding team. And we're still building our founding team. There's still people who are helping us found the company at this stage, even though we've evolved so much. So when it comes to building your team, you're an entrepreneur for the first time, you have no money. There is a system that you can build for working with interns. And actually, you know what? I'm more than happy, Oliver. I put together this little guide for some of the entrepreneurs that I work with. I'm happy to share it with you and your network, and hopefully it can help them. It's kind of like the step-by-step guide on where do I start if I want to work with interns? How do I do that? I've now helped several companies get off the ground with working with interns. And I just got a call the other day that one of those teams is now hiring 3 of those interns. So, it's an exciting journey to move together. And as an entrepreneur, you're also learning on the way. You're not a 100-person employee company that has all of the resources of a 100-person employee company, right? So that would be my piece of advice. As a founder, last thing I'll tell you on that note is, as a founder, don't get too close to the people that you work with, but still be close enough. And what I mean by that is, it's very lonely to be a founder. And when we start to work with people within our team and we believe they start to get us, they start to get to know us, they understand the journey, they understand the struggle, it's very easy to want to confide in them and talk to them and share things with them. But there should always be and remain a boundary between you and your team. That doesn't mean you can't be friendly. Doesn't mean you can't, enjoy having team nights and going out and spending time together. But you are the founder, and unfortunately, it's going to be almost impossible, and I hate to use that word, but almost impossible to find somebody who is as passionate as you are about your company and really sees the vision completely, right? Because the vision lives in your head. So that would just be my advice as you're growing your team, especially if you have $0 to work with, and as you're building those relationships.
That's amazing, Maggie. And I appreciate how much in depth you went there of the whole process. And I'm sure my audience would love to see that resource you put together. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to share.
So throughout this whole journey, what I've picked up on is from the very beginning to hiring interns to helping coaches and entrepreneurs now, it's all been centered around value and essentially education. You're teaching people, you're showing people the ropes of how to kind of reach that next level, whether it be they're starting their career, they're starting their business. You're constantly showing people how to reach that next level. Where does that kind of come from, and where do you see that going through 2025, 2026, kind of just moving forward?
Yeah, so, along my journey, something I didn't mention earlier is eventually I stopped working with my therapist. Had nothing to do with him or, any of those circumstances. He was wonderful. I worked with him for about 4 years. But after that, I almost felt like I kind of graduated. I was becoming this entrepreneur, and we were having different conversations. One of the jokes that I started having with more people as I grew my entrepreneur circle and realized it was something all of us struggle with is talking to a professional and hearing them say, well, you have to have work-life balance. Because as an entrepreneur, the truth is that just doesn't exist. You're building something that, 99% of the world, either tries and doesn't succeed at or never even starts. So you're a part of this small percentage that's doing something very, very rare. It's hard to find people that understand that. So we had just launched our platform, and I thought, well, is that weird if I go to my own platform and try to find a coach for myself? And I definitely felt kind of awkward about it. The messages that I would send to the coaches I'd reach out to was hilarious. I'd be like, if you think this is a conflict of interest, please do not feel pressured, because I casually am the CEO of the app you're using for your business. And I ended up meeting an executive coach who's incredible. She's helped scale, massive teams. She's worked with in everything from sales, business, managing budgets as large as $50 million. And I thought, wow, that is somebody who I want to work with, somebody who understands what it takes to scale, who has helped build entrepreneurs. And truly working with her has changed even my form of leadership and how I've overcome obstacles. So I saw the power of coaching firsthand through my own journey of launching a platform that would eventually empower other people through coaching. And so whenever I talk to entrepreneurs, I work with entrepreneurs, something that I constantly see, especially among women, is this lack of confidence, this imposter syndrome, this difficulty to get over certain hurdles, or this fear of saying maybe I should just stop now, right? Maybe I should, and it's the doubt that comes with that. And so I constantly am talking to entrepreneurs and saying, listen, it really is about that mindset. You have to be delusional in your thinking when you're growing a company. You can't think that you're going to clock out at 5 and have a normal life. You're not. I most of the time work 16, 18-hour days straight through, every single day on weekends, just to make sure I'm getting things done and moving things forward. And that's also with me still delegating tasks to other people on the team. So as an entrepreneur, at least in the beginning stages of your company, you're going to be working odd hours, doing things differently than the normal. And you need to have somebody who's not a friend, who's not a family member, who really understands the climb and has seen other people through that climb to get you to that next level. And so working with a coach, like I said, I experienced the power of it firsthand. I see it in all the entrepreneurs that we work with. There is a shift and a change that you will feel when you find the right coach and you start working with them, because they're not just focused on mindset. They're focused also on strategy and breaking that down for you. So 2025 is a huge year for Zant. We're really expanding our reach with entrepreneurs at all different stages. Pre-seed, seed, Series A are kind of like our bread and butter. Series B plus is kind of falls more under that like executive coaching. We do that well as well. And, our biggest goal for 2025 is just to really impact as many as 1 million lives with the services that we offer. We want to help entrepreneurs go out there and feel delusional in their thinking, right? And feel like they can absolutely overcome any obstacle that comes their way. And when they get hit, because they will get hit, they have a coach that they can talk to who's not just going to rebuild them and lift them up, but is also going to break them down and say, okay, what went wrong? Where can we make this better? How do we grow from here? Let's set a plan. And a lot of our coaches also manage those teams for those entrepreneurs. So being able to bring a coach into your team and know, while you're the leader, and yes, you have to motivate your team, you also have somebody over here who's looking out for the mental wellness of that team to prevent them from burnout and help encourage them along the way, not just from you, but also from somebody else. It makes a difference.
No, amazing. And you're 100% right, is sometimes you just have to be delusional. It's the way it is. And
it's true.
Mhm.
You're climbing a mountain that it's funny. I had an investor of ours one time who called me and she was like, Maggie, what you guys are accomplishing in such a quick timeline, it's incredible to see. And I said, oh, thank you. Yay, that's a big win. And she said, who sets your deadlines? I had never thought about that. I was like, who sets my deadlines? She said, yeah, who sets your deadlines? Like who's saying it has to be done on this date and we're striving towards this and here's the sprint? Like who's doing that? And I was like, me? I mean, we work as a team, we talk about it, and then we set it. And she goes, no, that's the thing. She goes, I want you to think about that. There's nobody above you who's breathing down your neck to get these things done. You could take forever to do these things if you really wanted to. But you have a sense of urgency and you have set these deadlines and you and your team are striving towards them and actually accomplishing them. She said, that's incredible. She goes, I want you to think about that. So for any of those, tech entrepreneurs who are listening or just entrepreneurs in general, you are the one who sets the deadline. Go after it. Have that confidence in what you're doing to know it really is kind of made up over here, right? Like you have this vision, you're setting the deadlines, you're the one who's creating the path. There's no path in front of you. So you have to be delusional. Don't let that scare you. Let that encourage you, right? And that's also why you need to have the right people around you.
Mhm. No doubt. And you mentioned your goal for 2025. You want to help as many as 1 million people potentially. What's your goal for
Yes,
getting your name out there, growing the business? How are you going about differentiating yourself in a competitive, we'll call it education space?
Yeah, 1 million lives sounds like a lot. Could be, right? Again, there's that delusional thinking. We have a few forms of acquisition. We do a lot of in-person events. We do a lot of virtual events. We also come on podcasts. We talk about what we're doing in any and every space that we can. Brand recognition and awareness at this stage is really important. Some people at different stages don't feel it's as important. That's at their stage. Early stage, it's important to get your brand out there. People don't know you. So we're trying to get our logo everywhere. We want people to see Zant and our bright pink logo everywhere, online, on LinkedIn, as you're searching, you're looking at the next platform. We actually just got rolled into Capwave AI. Capwave AI is amazing. You put in your pitch deck, it gives you a score. Once you hit a certain score, they then start matching you with investors. Super awesome platform. Now with their premium, you can actually get a free session with a Zant coach. So we're also rolling ourselves into some of these platforms that are already reaching entrepreneurs. And that really is the magic there, is just like, how do we get in front of more entrepreneurs and really show them the power of coaching? You know what? I'm happy also to throw in one more thing for you guys and your listeners, Oliver. Like, I'm happy anybody who listens to this, whether it's today, tomorrow, or months from now, I'm happy to give them a free session on the platform. So we can work that out, and I'll send you some more details. But just getting in front of people, just being able to be there, not just virtually, but also in person. We hold a ton of events. We started holding those events in March. We now have over 2,200 entrepreneurs who attend our events in person. How crazy is that? People want to be back. They want to be back in person. I didn't think this day was going to come. So, I think for us, just being able to expand reach, where can we touch? Where can we reach? Who can we get in front of? That's been important. And the entrepreneur world is so diverse. There's pitch competitions, there's accelerator programs, there's different consultants that work with different founders, there's organizations. So how can we get in front of the masses of entrepreneurs? We really believe every single one of them needs coaching.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. Everybody needs help along the way, whether they see that yet or not. It's coming, and it's impossible to do
100%.
something alone. So with that, Maggie, in 2025, you've mentioned some of your goals, some of your challenges, your mission, your value to get here. If you could have one industry wish, whether that could be to help people just become more aware of their situation, help your own company grow, what would you use your wish on?
An industry wish. Honestly, I think for us, and for me personally, one of my biggest goals is to, especially this year, it's not just like impacting lives, it's bringing hope to people. I think there's so many people who they get to this point, whether it's burnout or stress or building something, feeling, misunderstood. And I want to bring hope to them through our platform and through our coaches. I want them to feel confident. So I think if I could make an industry wish, it would be to change the way people look at coaching and encouragement, because it's more than encouragement. It's a lot more than that. But it starts with encouragement. It's really hard to motivate yourself when you feel misunderstood, or you feel like you're at the top of like a really windy mountain and like nobody's there. I would love to change the way that people approach the coaching industry and the way that people look at encouragement and self-help, and just being able to find that other kind of level of support. I hope that answers your question.
100%. And it's a fantastic mindset. And I completely agree, is that people should understand that support's out there. If they want it, they know where to come now. It's Zant.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, I love it. There you go.
We'll wrap it up now, Maggie, but
Sure.
where can people find you on the web?
Yeah, well, first off, we have a LinkedIn page, Zant. I'm sure Oliver, I'll give you some of our links that you can share with people, but also you can go to getzant.com, and that's Zant with a Z, like zebra. So it's getzant.com, and you'll learn a ton about us there for entrepreneurs and for coaches.
Fantastic. And like you said, I'll make sure all of these links are shared in the description if anybody wants to get in touch with Maggie.
Awesome.
Well,
Oliver, thanks so much.
Thank you, Maggie, for coming on, and really appreciate you.
Thanks, Oliver.